was like, why would Turkey be involved in overthrowing Syria? But I guess they are. And
yeah, no, it's not propaganda. They
Yeah.
are now also got almost to the border of Israel. I think they are now, they took over Kuneta. Well, at least is what they say, which is.
Let me see what the map showed. The map showed.
And by the way, I want an off-topic recommendation before I forget it. If anyone wants to have some entertainment, look on YouTube for the trailer of Snow White. Don't watch a trailer, just read the comment. It's fucking hilarious, okay? All the comments are like hilarious. Of Snow White, the trailer.
Snow White or Wicked?
No, Snow White.
Can you give us some insight, Daniel? Can you give us some insight, please? Tell us what they say.
Like along the line that if I watch Snow White on an airplane, I will still walk out. Stuff like this. No, it's really like it's a banger after banger, like really good comments. Like they shredded this to pieces. No, because they took the Zelger, I don't know what's the name, Rachel Zegler, that she's supposed to be Snow White, and Gal Gadot is the evil queen, who's supposed to be jealous of the beauty of Zegler. And it's priceless. It's like that's so witty. I mean, I can find you like a few of them, but I think it's just like it's worth the read.
Brilliant. I think that's really funny with Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler. A lot of people hated Rachel Zegler in that moment. She was acting really ungrateful for her role. I think I've seen some. I don't remember 100% that, but Rachel Zegler is funny.
Some of the comments there got more likes than the trailer itself.
Fair enough. I can understand that. Oh my god, that's so funny. Some big comments.
Anyway, what did the Germans say yesterday about the... sorry, did I come in maybe too late to the conversation? I don't know if you already discussed it. What did the Germans say yesterday about the whole genocide thing?
They rejected the report. So did the United States. Rejected it, and so did the Israeli chapter of Amnesty, the organization. So the Israeli Amnesty also rejected it. The one Amnesty is actually on the ground said that it's bullshit. And you can also see that this decision. If you look up the word genocide on Amnesty International's Twitter, you will see that they mentioned like once Rwanda, they mentioned once Sudan, they mentioned twice Guatemala, and they mentioned like I guess 10,000 times Israel's so-called genocide. Because it's fashion. It's not about human rights. It's not about what's right or wrong. It's about fashion.
It was very fair. Very fair.
Yes.
Actually, let me just quickly take a skim through this report. I've seen it mentioned so many times, but I've actually got around to reading it. Let's read what this actually says. Let's we can read this shit. This 296-page report.
Yeah, I think the first sentence is amazing.
That's so funny. You're so correct, Daniel. On 7 October 2023, Israel embarked on a military offensive on the occupied Gaza Strip of Gaza of unprecedented magnitude, scale, and duration. Just that first sentence. This is such an op-ed. This is such an op-ed.
What's wrong with them? I mean, oh my God. We woke up on a Saturday. It's in Torah. It's a Jewish tradition to go and genocide people. So stupid. How can they
I don't think they did Gaza until about 4 days later, didn't they? So they've got that all wrong.
Not even 4 days later.
No.
It was like maybe 2-3 weeks later.
No, the ground invasion. But we started the attacking at
2-3 weeks later.
Yeah, but we started the offensive, not defensive, offensive on 7th of October. We got up and we said, what will we do today? Saturday, we have nothing to do. Let's kill some Arabs. Yay.
I don't even think we started. Maybe in the border. Maybe shooting at the border we did. But we didn't actually start the offensive until like maybe the 11th or the 12th. That's when we started the offensive.
Did Amnesty International get their information from South Africa
Yes,
to create this report?
probably. There's actually there's a report. I found this a while ago. I forgot who it's by. I'll send you guys. I'll put it on the chat in a second. There's a report by like the Institute of Anti-Semitism in America that showed South Africa's connections to Iran, Qatar, and I think the Muslim Brotherhood, and they're actually getting paid for what they're doing. Let me find it.
South Africa was made by Iran.
Hamas has camps in South Africa and facilities in South Africa. It's very well known amongst South Africans. And it's also very well known that the South African government was meeting with Iran 6 months before the 7th of October for payments and to do deals around the table. In fact, one of the ministers in the ANC met with the Iranian officials in Iran 6 months prior. So, yeah.
Yeah. Where is it? Let's see. Qatar. I want to find it. ISGAP. So the Institute for the Study of Global Anti-Semitism and Policy. So, where is it? ISGAP, South Africa. Here we go. Here's the link. Feel free to read this guy. It's a great report. I really recommend it. It's not too long. Wait, how many pages is it again? 61 pages. It's not long at all. It's a quick read. It's a fun read. If you want to know a bit
61
more.
pages, front and back. Well, that's from France. Never mind. Yeah, it's been rambling over 80 pages, front and back.
Yeah, but I remember, what was I saying about the report? What was I referring this to again? What were we talking about in terms of the Amnesty International report? I was going to say another really good resource I can recommend to you guys when it comes to legal opinions and legal interpretations. You look at UKLFI, UK Lawyers for Israel. They do a really, really good analysis of every single legal document, every single legal opinion, all of that. They really go deep into it, especially on things with the law specifically. They go very deep into that, and I find their opinions really good. There's this one international UK barrister. Her name's Natasha Housdorf. She's one of the heads of this organization, and she does a really, really good job at representing Israel specifically. I actually love that. She introduced me to a concept known as
I've heard about
say it again.
I've heard about it.
Yeah, she's awesome. She talks about this concept when it comes to occupation known as uti possidetis juris, the principle of customary international law. That essentially says that because Israel declared independence in May 14th, 1948, and the Arab High Committee, or the people in charge of Palestine at the time, didn't declare any kind of independence. Jordan annexed the land that was the West Bank, or Judean Samaria, illegally, and Egypt took that land illegally from Israel because they technically declared independence. And so actually all that land that they say is illegally occupied or not Israel actually is Israel's, and it should be theirs. And the only thing that delegitimized their claim to it was the Oslo Accords.
actually got I got a written warning at work for calling Judea Samaria.
You know what?
I got a written warning.
For what?
For saying Judea and Samaria. Because I was
Where did you
correcting quite a lot of people in the meeting, and I'm like, no, it's not the West Bank, it's Judea and Samaria. And yeah, I got a written warning for that.
Like at your work? Where do you work? You're saying Judea and Samaria on the West Bank?
At my workplace, I got a written warning.
Really? You got a written warning for that?
Yeah, because their workshop program is.
Were people like feeling uncomfortable? Like why did you get the warning? What the hell?
Because everyone in this country is being conditioned by these people. I'm telling you, it's dangerous. Sorry, Danny.
Yeah, no, sorry, I was saying hello to Isa. She was
Oh,
in
Isa.
a Bitcoin room.
I didn't know it was you because I couldn't recognize your PTR, and you put something in the chat. You put something like "go back home" or something.
Yes.
Oh no! You sent me a message.
Yeah, I sent you a message, go back home.
Oh shit! Yeah.
And in the
I
chat, I
didn't know
wrote,
it was you. I'm like, who the hell is this? And I just ignored it.
yeah, because we didn't have, I don't know why we don't have, because it's a new account before we
It's
didn't
a
have
new account, yeah, because we did have history.
Yeah. And, but you were like, I get it, you were like the center of attention. And everybody was like interviewing you.
You were there for the whole time?
Yes.
Oh
And I was
god.
commenting in the chat when you said Correila.
Oh, it was you. Yeah, I didn't recognize your PTR.
You know, I was in,
Yeah,
there's no terrorist allowed. There's no terrorist allowed, but I got it. Well,
I'm sad to see you not blue. Just your headband.
right?
Yeah, this is new. I didn't know it was you.
Hey, Doug. How are you?
Hey. Ah, Fumaru. Shit.
Yeah, I'm good.
Shit. I'm good, honey. How are you?
Yeah, I'm having a great week.
Yeah, it's funny, Pomalo.
Me and the guys have got together this week and we've been rocking and rolling.
Who got together?
Me, Musky, Trumpy,
That's amazing. Do you look like that? Do you look like your PTR?
And he's on the phone. Hi, son.
Hey, Yoav.
What's
Yeah,
up?
Daniel, I don't know. That was like a 20-minute interview. No, it started just with like one question, and then it's like, oh, but what about this? And what about that? What about
And
that?
what made you decide where you wanna be? And
At some point, I was sitting like, okay, this is really an interview.
tell me more about what you working with Lego.
Exactly. And actually, he just wanted.
What is PTR?
Refresh.
PTR is pull to refresh, but we call also PTR the profile photo.
Because when you put
Okay. I was like,
Yeah.
what the hell?
But everything started because they asked me about the conflict in Guatemala after the Cold War. Remember, well, during the Cold War, remember we were talking about that and when Israel helped East Guatemala and whatever? And so I started talking about that, and they asked me a couple of questions about that time, and how they perceive the U.S. and whatever. I said, oh, it's fine. But then somebody right after that asked me, so how did you get into sports from Guatemala? And so that's the question that triggered everything.
It was a happy accident. It was a guy. He had the
That's
stuff.
right. You were there for the after?
I heard the whole thing. I
Oh my
just
God.
summarized it.
Why didn't you come on stage?
I didn't want to interrupt. When you were like doing fine.
I was doing fine.
Pomalo, she asked you a question when you went on the phone.
Yeah, that's her question. asked you if you look like your PTR.
I'll leave it up.
Oh, come on! You can just say that yes or no. If you do, you look like a hot Moses.
Thanks, man.
Holy Moses.
Hot Moses. Hot Moses. Something, a nice name for a restaurant or a cafe or a shisha bar. Hot Moses.
Yeah, these AI stuff you do, it's really good.
You know, I know this really gorgeous chick in Iran, and she went back. She lives in San Diego. She went back to Iran, and like her house in Iran is incredible. It's got a pool. It's like, you know, seems like a very nice, high standard of living. Why is the standard of living in the Middle East in many cities, you know, better than in America? Like
Oh my
It's
God,
cheaper.
Adrian.
building
And then
standards.
oil, petrol money.
I guess if she has, I mean, if she has money, she's probably connected to the leadership. Just saying.
Think about it. Think about like the difference between Texas and New York. Would you rather live in Texas or would you rather live in New York?
Well, you're probably right. She is probably connected to the government, but what's ironic is she's an artist and she does ibogaine, and she goes around and gets people high on hallucinogenics and calls it therapy. But she's into art.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she's insanely beautiful.
If she has a swimming pool in Iran, she's probably RGC agent.
Not Asian, but maybe a fire.
Maybe cousin.
I'm just saying, if they spoke English and they knew what she was doing, like they'd probably arrest her.
Well, maybe she was. Don't you think that maybe she was spying on you, or she was using you to be a spy?
No, this chick is like a supermodel, and she's raised in America. She's a drug addict.
Adrian, turn her in.
So speaking of, this is the time to plug in the show Tehran, which premieres the 3rd season in 2 days. It's available on
Oh
Apple
yeah, I'm
TV.
gonna look for that right now.
And also there you will see Iranians with a pool.
Listen, guys, I gotta get going to take time. See you guys.
All right, ciao, and
Fantastic.
see you soon.
Wait, Tehran. They found it. Tehran. Oh, it's for free in Apple TV.
Free Tehran.
Free Tehran. It has 2
Free
seasons.
Damascus.
And
Yes,
it has.
Oh, speaking of Damascus, yesterday I went out to a bar, right? This up.
Oh
And on
yeah.
the way back, I decided to spoil myself and not take the train, but I called an Uber. And then the friend that I was with is asking like, "Who's your driver?" I'm like, "Oh, right," because I hardly use Uber. And I'm like, "Oh, his name is Jihad, and he's from Damascus." And I'm like,
Jihad?
"Jihad." So you can blame me for calling on Jihad.
Jihad from Damascus.
Literally, I have the screenshot to prove it.
Would you explain your PTR to me, please? Because I'm confused.
Oh, come on, Pumalo, don't be that sensitive, honey.
Why are you confused? It's a child terrorist. I mean, that is exposing the problem.
This is because they keep saying the children, the innocent children.
He's on our side, honey. You see? Don't be.
No, it's criticism, like me.
Do you see why you cannot be so sensitive towards symbols, Pumalo?
Because you were hanging around in Amir's room with that picture. I thought you were one of them, but then I heard you talk.
But so what?
No, so one of them would be gaslighting you about the use of child terrorists.
Pumalo, why did you leave the other day the Bitcoin room? Were you upset? I forgot to ask you.
So Bitcoin? No. Why would I be upset?
I don't know, we were talking about the freedom of speech, remember? And then you left.
I have things to do when it comes to freedom of speech.
You know, I want to say something about freedom of speech. A lot of people talk about it.
They're going to ban TikTok in America because of freedom of speech.
They're not going to.
No, they're not going to ban it. They're going to force the sale, and Steve Mnuchin is going to buy it.
Yeah, well, whatever they're going to do, they're going to have a say.
The Jews are going to buy it.
An investment group is going to buy the American rights to TikTok, but if that's the problem is when you take out TikTok from the organization Dance Bite, there's a global collection effort going on, and there's a huge investment. And you can look at the cost per thousand impressions. I just saw an article about how much revenue you generate for 1 million impressions on Snapchat versus TikTok versus YouTube, etc., and what you get on X. There's a massive advertising boycott going on against X, and we are living in censorship. So back to the freedom of speech, it's not just talking about the freedom of speech means nothing. Only making controversial statements is making the First Amendment into action.
Well, freedom of speech means that you will not be prosecuted for what you say. That means that you're consequence.
Yeah. Well, do you remember when the Palestinian-Israeli conflict broke out, and there was that American guy who, is like, he claims he was black, but he's like a biracial, or he's like, albino or whatever the fuck he is, and he was putting out all the dead baby videos in Palestine, all the injuries, and like there was a time in the algorithm in Meta where they allowed all these horrific images to just flood the internet. And then they cut back and they took that guy out. I can't remember his name. He was an American guy. You could call him a journalist if you want, but he's really just a propagandist. Do you remember that guy's name? I can't remember his name.
When you say took him out, what do you mean?
I don't mean that he was killed. I mean that they deleted his accounts, and he had multi-million followers, and he was constantly posting, dead baby videos or dead children videos is insane. The fact that they would allow real gore, and real dead bodies on Instagram to flood the algorithm. I mean, that was insane.
Well, it generates revenue, and people are profiting off this, of the Palestinian suffering. A lot of money is generated. A lot of clout, a lot of likes.
A lot of nonprofit donations. UNRWA. Yeah, and they don't censor it, and they don't stop it. I mean, a lot of this money is going back to terrorist activities through the nonprofit NGOs.
And so of it is just scams. I mean, so many stories about, help my family escape Gaza, and please donate as much as you can.
Yeah, see, that's a good scam. I often thought, like, if I were to become a vigilante Jew and try to do Aliyah, I would start like an American Jewish nonprofit charity scam to like get American Jews to donate to, some type of charity in Israel while I'm sitting there in Tel Aviv, suntanning.
I think it's actually better to create like a charity that all the terror people would donate to, and tell them that it goes to Gaza, and then give it to Gaza, but to the IDF in Gaza. But let them donate the money.
See, that would be the kind of operation the IDF and Mossad needs to create, is a fake pro-poly Instagram on Meta where there's the donation nonprofit charity function. And sure enough, all of the money that comes in around the world from Islamic jihadist groups.
I've done it.
They've already done it? Yeah.
Everything you thought of, everything you're ever going to think of, everything you want to think of, everything that you would like to think of has been done, is being done, will be done. Don't go past it.
Even exploding beepers.
Yeah, that was genius.
It was.
So, yes, the rebels are like on the outskirts of Damascus.
Did you know that the leader of the rebel group is an American?
Really?
Yeah. He was a jihadist. He went in Iraq and he fought in Sadr City. He went to jail, I think in some American jail or something, and now he's back out there fighting. I wonder who he works for.
Who did he work for? ESA. I think he works for ESA.
It was in some New York Times article I read.
Yeah.
Everybody works for ESA.
So do you think Bashar Assad will actually be deposed, or will he have, I know his family supposedly has already fled to Russia, but do you think he will be deposed? Do you think that he will stand his ground, and he'll be killed?
He's going to die like a dog.
Do you really think he's gonna
A
die there?
beautiful dog.
Yeah, he's gonna die like a dog.
I mean,
Beautiful.
look at the most famous Arab leaders that have died so far: Muammar Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein. Who else amongst, you know?
Osama bin Laden was also a leader.
Right, but he wasn't a national leader per se.
Yeah, that's true. He wasn't a national, an official one.
Yeah.
But Sinwar was not like a head of state either. That's what he means.
Yeah. Sinwar.
He was the head of
Sinwar-
tunnels.
Yes. He was the head
Yeah,
of the
but he was not a head of state.
What's one of the elite Israeli commando forces? I think they're called Mama.
Mama.
Yeah, or Yaya. I can't remember the name of it.
Mamma mia.
Bibi, you mean?
No, some of these elite Israeli like historical commando units have very funny names, but very powerful. Yaya.
Bibi, Yaya, Mama.
The Stuppers.
I'm just waiting for them. I think the day before Trump comes in, all the hostages are going to be released. Just that day, that one day before, or 1 week before. It's just going to happen.
Hopefully, they are all still well.
That's like filing for
Otherwise,
chapter
doubt it.
17. That's like filing chapter 17 versus filing chapter 13 or chapter
It
11.
will be chapter 17. It will be. And as soon as they release, I just hope Donald Trump sticks to his guns.
Oh, he will stick to his gun.
Uses the First Amendment, released or not.
Well, did you see what he wrote on his Instagram account X today? He said that because Russia is so bogged down in Ukraine, they let Syria slip, and the rebels are on the way to Damascus.
Yeah, I was reading about it yesterday. Actually, when we finally made what do I want to say? We finally were able to make a room on Syria where we were actually reading a lot about history and stuff. And that was part of the things that we were reading. That because Russia is too distracted with their other war, that things have gotten out of hand in Syria. We'll see. I mean, that region needs to stop fighting. It is just fucking ridiculous. There needs to be an adult in the room.
They were born to fight, so they were born to fight. They were born to cause chaos.
Yeah, dude, it's Iran. Iran is creating a lot of chaos everywhere. And not even Russia is really supporting the fact that they're just kind of like being all chaotic. It's just absurd. Iran needs to, I don't know, dethroned or something.
See what the most popular baby boy is, okay?
No?
Muhammad.
Hey, but every Arab person has got the name Muhammad.
Well, you know what makes me angry is that like every day we think there's not like World War III happening, and then you find out that Damascus is about to be invaded by a jihadist terrorist group, most likely backed by, UAE, Saudi Arabia, whoever. I mean, that's the point. Is you could say Iran, but Turkey, and so Sunni versus Shia. So I'm just saying that it's so easy to forget that within every major group, there's these subgroups fighting for supremacy within Islam. And it's just like, it's hard to keep your head wrapped around all this shit to know that it's such a dynamic environment that, you should be aligned with your national interests in what they're doing. But
and yet we believe that we understand this stupid culture and we let them in, in our territories.
It's insane. And this was all going on. This was all happening during Obama. Chicago was being invaded by all these burqas. I would go to the zoo. You'd see all these women with their children. And you're like, oh, you just came from Syria. You just came from Yemen.
Some clever Muslim has to come up with a new sect and call it Shiuni.
Yeah, I've often thought it's a good idea to go into the Islamic business because it probably will be continue to be the majority religion. Some people think it's going to fall, But in my opinion, it is like the
No, I don't
counter-government, counter-cultural, counter-religious movement in many ways because it's anti-Jew, it's anti-Christian, and so it is in many ways the antithesis. Well, it's the contrarian. It is the contrarian in people which makes them go to Islam because they're contrarians and they hate their government. And a lot of these fuckers go to Islam to get that catharsis.
Yeah, the more people we keep alienating, from the West, the more that Islam is continuing growing. And Islam is completely based on the opposite. It's completely based on group identity. It's completely based on the eliminating rights of the individual. It's completely the opposite of what we're doing. So if Islam keeps growing, our world will just end.
Well, it'll probably stay constant. It's 1 billion people. Thailand constantly has terror attacks. Philippines has terror attacks. Wherever Islam spreads, jihadism and violent extremists spread. It's a revolutionary, dominant. It's the problem.
It's a collective. It keeps you
No,
silent.
it is jihadists. It is jihadists carrying out the dream of Allah and Muhammad doing the same fucking thing. They're role playing it. That's the problem with that religion. Is that it's a role play and they do what they did. They go on conquests. It causes psychosis.
They're colonialists. If they take over the world, we're fucked. There's no way that you can get out of Islam.
They can't take over the world. All they can do is just do annoying shit. And that's the reason why Israel, in my opinion, is like eternally fucked. And they will always have terrorism because they are surrounded by fucking hundreds of millions of potential jihadists. It will never go away.
That's why it's so important to have Israel in that region as well, because it's a way of balancing that territory.
Listen, during the Roman Empire, they didn't have to deal with Islam. They dealt with Christians. They persecuted Christians. They persecuted Jews. You have to return to the ancient Roman cult. Here's the new government. Here's the new religion. Here's your blood. Here's your abuse. I'm just saying that in many ways, Islam is like the most toxic, virulent form of. Anyways, we don't have to go down this route. I'm just saying that, no terrorists allowed.
Just one question. Can anybody see in my profile the last people I have chatted with, or did they take that away?
I can see Daniel and no, actually don't think.
No. Can anybody see the balloons?
What balloon?
I mean the PTR balloons.
No.
That it says recently chatting with, and usually it shows you the people you've been exchanging messages with.
You can hide it though, and I don't see for anyone, to be honest.
That's the reason why I was thinking that it left. Because even when I go to my own profile, I go down and it says recently chatting with, and it gives me the option of opening a new chat.
It says to me, Thanksgiving joy now, and then Diego, piece of shit, sleeps with the fishes.
I think it was a stupid feature anyway.
Yeah, I think so too, but let me try this. So, okay, done. And then...
I gotta say that in many ways I'm like optimistic about the future of peace in the Middle East. It's like flushing out the sewer. Every year in France, they drop a giant wooden ball in the middle of Paris, and it flushes out all the debris from the sewer line. So I get the feeling like what's been happening, and it's just disastrous. I mean, I don't even know what it's like on the ground in Israel, but I assume the whole country is essentially, completely in this war footing. And it's just a horrible place to be, to be in that defensive, offensive posture all the time. I mean, peace, and equilibrium and harmony and just every day-to-day living is the goal, in my opinion.
Can you respond to that message that I just sent, Daniel? Just to see if it appears in the chat balloon.
Yes, and I'll be right back and I'll answer.
Also, Isa, you don't Go down, you scroll down.
Oh yeah, scroll down. Thank you so much, y'all.
How do you view Bashar Assad? I know I saw a documentary about what his father did, and the terror attacks on buses, etc. But also the tit for tat, where as an American, I can say, oh well, what Israel did over there was that bad as well. But what they did is bad. So it's like, what's the gray line between the Israel and Syrian conflict, especially with the terror attacks, the bus bombings, and all that, the intifada, all that shit that was backed up by Bashar Assad's father. I mean, is this retribution? Is this justice? Like, how does Israel, walk that line of justice, knowing that what they're doing is legitimate?
Hey, Ruth, man. What's up?
Good morning. How are y'all?
Yeah, we good. How are you?
I'm good.
You're killing it, Hampton. You're killing it on YouTube, bro. I mean, dude. I'm telling you, man, you could do what you do. You don't need to just do it on the baddies, man. Tell El Normo what you're doing. El Normo, have you seen Hampton's YouTube, El Normo? Do you know this guy is like a producer director?
Edmund is jealous of you, Hampton, because while you grow your audience, he gets his account kept.
Yeah, 4,500 videos.
Without their consent.
4,500 videos. People put out 300 videos, have millions of subscribers. I put out 4,500. I can't get more than 1,500.
Right now? Are you recording
Hampton,
right now?
Hampton, I'm live streaming this on 6 different platforms.
I'm honestly, I believe it.
Yeah, you could just call me Mr. Recorder, El Normo. El Normo, what happened to your Instagram? I was looking for it the other day because I tagged.
It's there.
Oh, I don't see it anymore.
Yeah, look now.
No, but what I'm saying is it doesn't show on your profile.
It was never in my profile.
Really? I thought you attached it. Anyways, because I was tagging Issa on my Instagram. I think I tagged you as well, but I just wanted to.
What's Hampton's channel? What does he have?
It's called Hampton Spears. He does a review on a show called Baddies, and he's the host with the most. And he's killing it.
Hampton Spirits, it's called?
Hampton Spears.
Like Britney Spears.
His real name is Stephen. What's your real name, Hampton?
None of your business.
Why are you so sassy?
Because.
You're getting free consultation advice from El Normo and myself. You should consider this, a $10,000 consulting. It's like you made 10 grand today.
Anyways.
But what I'm saying, Hampton, is if I were.
No, stop.
Look at it this way, Hampton. If I was worth $100 million and I hired you to produce a show and you do what you do for baddies, but you did it for Israel, there you go. Yeah, Yoav. There you go. Pin that link. Hampton Spears in the house. No terrorists allowed. No terrorists allowed. No terrorists allowed. Hampton Spears stands with Israel. Hampton Spears is a Zionist. I'm clipping that. I'm putting Hampton Spears as a Zionist. You can thank me later, Hampton.
Hampton, you want me to take you down?
Yes.
It was funny.
Anyway, so what were y'all talking about?
I was asking about the Israel-Syrian conflict and how you determine, judicially, legally, who's right, who's wrong, who holds the most points, negatively, positively, because eventually it would be great if Israel's able to form a lasting peace with its neighbors, because it's just perpetual violence, and it's low IQ terrorist, religious, political violence. It's proxy war violence against Israel. It's like, how does Israel actually create a lasting equilibrium where they minimize terrorist attacks within their country? No more bus rammings, no more random shootings and stabbings. I mean, how do you create greater peace in Israel and in surrounding states?
That's a good question. Honestly, I don't know. The Palestinians' hatred for Israel and Israelis is so deep. It's just, I just feel like whatever Israel does, even if they win militarily, they'll just keep fighting. Honestly, I don't know. Like it's a really deep-seated, visceral hatred that I don't know how it can be put out. I know that's depressing, but I don't know.
Yeah, you like Ariana Fonte?
Yeah, well, I kind of like thought I looked like him a little bit, but my mom was like, "No, you don't look like him." So yeah, because sometimes people will have like pictures of celebrities that they look like, as opposed to their actual pictures. So I was trying to do that.
Yeah, doppelganger.
Yeah.
That's what I did in my video.
Oh, you're right. I'm right for you. /Hamas.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the face.
I can't even see your. Just see your eyes.
It's a joke, of course.
I actually met this guy on this app that is well, not met like in person, but talked to this person. He actually works for UNRWA, or he did, and I was like, oh shit, interesting.
That's interesting. I never met anyone who works for a terrorist organization.
And John, what app do you use to edit your videos?
iMovie.
iMovie?
Yeah,
Apple. Yeah, Apple you are.
yeah, Apple.
Oh,
I get on my
yeah,
iPhone.
See, Hampton, I think you should get. If I had the money, I'd pay to fly you to Israel for a 60-day vacation for you to go there and just create content about how normal it is, about how it's just families living there trying to survive, and nobody wants to be murdered or killed in your neighborhood by some terrorist. It's the same thing here in Chicago. You have black women yelling at the mayor saying, "You have invited terrorist criminals into our neighborhoods, and you've given away everything we have, you bastard." So I'm just saying that common sense, pragmatism, doing the right thing is obvious. And all the propaganda that you're subjected to on this app, on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok, it's propaganda, lies. It's normal over there, and it's not racism. It's not apartheid. This is the history of the world. This is where we're at right now. Violence and is the ultimate problem. Breaking the law, killing people, murdering people. This is the biggest problem in human history, is how do we get rid of the violence and create peace?
Right. I want to go to Israel so bad. I really do.
Yeah, come.
One of these
You
days.
don't need to come for
Tel
60
Aviv,
days.
Hampton. We go out. Show you
Come to Tel Aviv.
Yes, Tel Aviv.
Tel Aviv, ya habibi, Tel Aviv.
also shout out to Mahor in the audience. Hey Mahor.
תסתכל כמה לידי מסביב. עושים לי היי, בלילה וואי. משחקנים על תל אביב.
We'll let you know when the war is over, Hampton. You can come.
I can come during the war. I was there for a month, just like until a week ago or so.
I'm scared. I'm not gonna lie.
Listen, yes, you get I had to run to shelter 5 times, but it may sound scary, but it's so not. It's like a big sound, and you go to shelter, wait for 10 minutes, then you go on with your life. Plus, they give it like that. And it was very comfortable because none of it woke me up in the middle of the night, at least when I was there those 5 times. It was in comfortable hours of the night or of the evening or the day. One time I was like eating lunch with a friend So, like, there was an alarm, and I'm like, wow, I stuffed the schnitzel in my face because I wanted to finish the food before we left the restaurant. And then, yes, immediately everybody's leaving the restaurant. They leave everything behind. The owner kind of locks the place. They go to shelter, and after 10 minutes, they reopen. Everybody goes and resumes wherever they stop.
So there must be shelters nearby everywhere.
Yeah, they're everywhere. Everywhere there's a shelter.
Do people ever have sex in the shelters?
You know. It's a public shelter. Like, it's not that you're there alone. I mean, a lot of people have a shelter in their apartment. Like, when I was staying at my sister's place, one of the rooms is a shelter. Like, one of my nephews. So you kind of just calmly move to another room, and then you're there for like 10 minutes. So if you are alone and with your significant other, sure, why not? But it's like in Tel Aviv, or in the center, people are, they don't live in the shelter. But if you go to the north, there are people that actually were sleeping in the shelter for months.
That's crazy.
And I'm talking about somewhat meaning like a building shelter that they're doing it with like 5 other families, not a private one.
Wow. Like a sukkah. Is anybody moving back north?
Yeah, people started moving back north. But some are afraid still, some don't want to, some do. It's, I don't know the numbers yet.
What was the terrorist attack on the playground? I think they launched drones into like that basketball court where like 13 people or some large number of young children.
It was 12. Stop exaggerating.
Marshall Shams.
Yeah, that is that what really started? Is that what kicked off the whole thing? That attack?
No, it was one of the things going on. What started it was 8,000 rockets from Hezbollah since October 8th.
Why they did this attack on Marshall Shams? The only thing that it did, if anything, is to expose that those humanitarian, so-called humanitarian, don't really care about dead children. They don't care if they are like Israeli. And those were not even Jewish children, but they were part of like part of Israel. So they are like, so no one gives a fuck.
Those weren't Jewish? Those kids weren't Jewish?
No.
What were they?
No, they're Druze. They're Druze.
Oh my gosh. Oh, when I saw that, I was like, this is a tragedy. Like, this is insane.
Yes, but no one cares. Like, no one in the world cares.
Do you know how many people Bashar al-Assad ethnically cleansed from Syria? Take a guess.
Nothing. Like, I think maybe half.
3 million?
A million? No, half a million, I think.
Guess again.
Not half a million?
3 million. 2 million.
Guess no, 3 million. More? No, come on.
12 million.
Wow.
Yeah, this.
Ethnically cleansed. I thought killed.
Yeah, no, killed. It's 600,000, I believe, is the figure.
No, but I think 9.5 were displaced. Some of them externally and some of them internally. But I don't think it's 12. I think it's 9.5. Which is about half the population.
The last figure I heard was 12. They went to Jordan, Lebanon, and Europe, mainly. Look, maybe it's 9.5 million.
How do you view Hillary Clinton and Obama's deliverance of all these weapons to the jihadist groups, to like ISIS, etc.? Because Obama, don't you think he's a great divider in this country? Like, I don't know. To me, he's do you know who brought him to power? The Crown family in Chicago. They build nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, etc. But they are responsible for bringing Obama to power in the United States of America.
Are they Yahoos?
They're Jewish, yeah. They're called the Crown family. But turns out the guy that brought Obama to power died racing his NASCAR, hyped-up car around some track. He was a car enthusiast, and he died. One of the richest men in the world died driving a freaking race car. But Obama. The point is, him and Hillary Clinton were giving all these weapons, all the whole Arab Spring, Tunisia, Muammar Gaddafi, all that stuff, and that poor ambassador who got murdered.
I thought it was a democracy movement. It was really bad.
So he wasn't fooled, though. Don't you think he's an evil person?
let's just say he betrayed people. I voted for him too.
Yeah, because when he was in Grant Park in Chicago saying hope and change, I thought he was like I thought he was a war activist, like a peace activist. It was the exact opposite. He just prolonged the conflict. He didn't wind shit down. He increased drone attacks to like 8,000 a month or something. I mean, he let loose the drone war, which is a huge amount of money. But the point is, I don't trust any warmonger. You can't trust a warmonger. They're always ruthless profiteers.
I was listening yesterday to a podcast, and a guy was telling the story of some people that Obama made deals with in exchange for their endorsement. He'd make them Secretary of State. He made that same deal with 4 different people, that if they endorsed him, he'd make them Secretary of State. Those people were Bill Richardson, governor of New Mexico, Richard Holbrooke, who actually would have made a great Secretary of State, although it was difficult, Hillary Clinton, and John Kerry all at the same time. That's classic Washington. Like, he went over to their house for like Christmas or Super Bowl and promised to them Secretary of State. He was an operator.
Yeah, he was a real operator. What do you think about the story about him going up into Gurney and getting his dick licked and smoking crack with that guy that was on Tucker? I mean, the point.
Gurney is, but it sounds like
it's north of Chicago. The point is, it sounds plausible to me. Now, whether he's bi or whatever, it doesn't make a difference to me. The story, see, that's the thing about reality, is the reality of the situation is weirder than, fiction or whatever. So he's an aberration, in my opinion. But nonetheless, I mean, anyways, say what.
Aberration.
Well, if you believe there is a Zionist Jewish conspiracy, with regards to 9/11, to breaking up the Middle East, to overcoming Gaddafi, to overcoming Saddam, to overcoming Bashar. Who? Obama?
Obama, yeah.
No, what I'm saying is he was the tool and the instrument in carrying on the war. And now it seems like it's in hindsight, you could say this was all a huge success because Israel is the last man standing. And all these other countries have been toppled that wanted to topple Israel, that wanted to attack Israel. Like I said, Gaddafi, Saddam, Bashar, maybe the Ayatollahs. Like, this could be a big, great success for Israel. And whatever the conspiracy theory is, whether you believe that kind of nonsense or not, it doesn't make a difference because on the ground, you could say Israel is winning, but then you get into a Pyrrhic type of victory thing, whereas, is Israel really winning 10 years from now, 20 years from now? I'm optimistic personally. I believe in peace because of strength.
Every year, the United Nations had a resolution saying that East Jerusalem, which includes the Kotel, is a part of Palestine. And every year, the United States vetoed it. And one of Obama's last acts was to tell Samantha Powers, the ambassador to the UN, Yamach Shamo, that to not veto that, and so it passed. That was in the last year. That was like the last days of his administration. That was a big betrayal of Israel. There's no reason to do it.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. It's a big betrayal.
Wait, who was the character again? Who did this?
Samantha Powers was Obama's ambassador to Israel. She's made a bunch of anti-Israel statements, including claiming that there's starvation in northern Gaza. There's no starvation. Everybody. Samantha Powers. She wrote a book. I think it was called The Problem from Hell. She was at Harvard. She was a rising star. She's kind of hot, too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so Trump is in France meeting with Macron, I assume, and he met with Zelensky, and so they're probably trying to hash out, land for peace, right? Isn't that what Zelensky said? He's willing to give up territory for peace. I mean, is Trump going to come into office, on day one with some type of pre-negotiation for the cessation of hostilities in Ukraine and Russia?
I wouldn't be surprised. I think both sides realize it's the best deal they're going to get. Who the hell wants to keep this stupid war going? And
Yep, I can already hear that. It's like somebody said they're getting married already. They've only been together for 6 months.
Wait, what is that a reference to?
My aunt and uncle got married after having been, a couple for like 40 years. And my aunt was like, I think it's too soon for them to get married. I was like, shut the fuck up.
Or was that some kind of a joke?
It's a joke, but it's meaning that peace between these two countries is inevitable. It has to happen. That they're too connected culturally, linguistically to be involved in a perpetual conflict. I mean, the problem is if there's some type of cessation of hostilities, then it goes to like, Cold War spy versus spy games again. It's like, why can't these countries, like, they'll have to let it go, forgive and forget. A lot of U.S. soldiers went to Vietnam and in tears met with the people they were fighting, and the people in Vietnam were in tears too. It's like a catharsis. How do you reach that breaking point of letting go of the past? But it's interesting about the Russian-Ukraine conflict is those countries are so well connected linguistically, culturally, religiously. The contrast between Israel and its surrounding neighbors, it's so black and white that you can see how like that integration is even more complicated because there's such a stark contrast. Anyways, I'm the biggest procrastinator in the world. I have to go do some work and clean and paint. And I had a tenant stay in one of my units from China. And, I like to think young Asian men are like, very fastidious and clean. No, this guy like rearranged the apartment and destroyed it. I don't know what he was going through, but he decided to take it out on my unit.
A friend of mine just wrote a Substack about the tenant from hell. Her name is Seggerman, Seggerman. If you care about it, I saw it on Substack or one of those. It might be a different platform actually, but I got an alert about it, and he like rearranged the place and took it apart and did like construction and stuff.
Yeah, graffiti. Oh my gosh, tenants from hell. I'm sure there's a lot of good stories about mental health breaks with tenants who are being evicted. I mean, anyways, Rude Man, you have such a talent that normally you have to look at his YouTube. Did he leave? Because Rude Man left. Yo, have I cleaned your room out? I'm a cleaner.
That's okay. I was about to close the room anyway.
Okay, God bless you. Tov. Take care. Have a good week.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye. I'm the cleaner. I'm the clubhouse cleaner.
Well, it's beautiful. It can only fit about 2 inches, and I don't know why you're such a science queen if you're a virgin. It doesn't make sense.
Well, I really think that it's for my ego. What do you not get it?
Why is there a cat fight going on right now?
Irrational. Because Abby's a virgin and she
Shut the
continues
fuck up, bitch. I will remove you.
a 9-inch penis.
Danny, I'm gonna throat fuck you, so you shut up.
Damn. This is I can tell this is a toxic codependent relationship within Ryan's world.
Ryan, stop making us codependent.
See, I told you, Ryan, you sound dried out, bro. It sounds to me like your throat is dry.
Adrian, guess where I am?
You're at the grocery store, fatty.
Yes. Good job.
I can hear you fucking going through your coupon book.
Are we all in this simulation?
That's funny.
What did I put in this simulation?
Danny, you were put out of the fucking simulation. That's what happened to you.
Okay, so do I have a black son yet?
Yeah, and you're an obese lesbian black woman in a union voting Democrat. Duh.
It's okay that you want black dick, Danny. We will judge you, but like, it's still okay.
Great
I
people.
want to make a sex toy. No, I want to make a sex toy that is just the nose and the glasses from your picture.
Ew.
That'd be a gross sex toy.
What did you say, Ray?
We're gonna make it and make millions. We're gonna go on Shark Tank.
How about when it's like
Hampton said his doppelganger is Harry Belafonte.
I think it's hot.
Do I look like this guy?
You kind of do, yeah. In some ways,
I think
you do.
Who do I look like? You kind of look like Don Lemon too. You kind of look like Don Lemon and Harry Belafonte had a baby together to create.
You have a couple photos, Danny, where you look like sort of like a Jewish Mia Khalifa with some features.
Yeah, it's that. Yeah, see my.
I would fuck her if she wasn't married.
Well, you must fuck her no matter what.
No.
If she allows you.
Would you fuck Abby?
Shut the fuck up. Sorry. Bitch, because of you. This guy don't kill me. Fuck you, bitch.
Man, shut the fuck up.
Danny,
I think it's a no from both.
Danny, just because you are a whore doesn't mean everyone else is.
No.
Yes.
I don't think Danny's a whore.
She
I
is
think
a
her inner being, she wants to be a whore for sure.
She is one.
Are you projecting?
Well,
I am not.
how do you define whore in this area? Is it desires or actions?
I cannot really say it right now.
She's at the grocery store, duh.
I think she thinks it in every regard that I'm the most nastiest woman she ever met. Like, seen that everywhere.
You're not the
No, Danny, there's way more toxic people than you on this app. You have no idea.
Exactly.
You're so lucky that you're.
The lack of respect that you display publicly with your husband is kind of like boorish.
Oh,
Yeah.
she's an unhappy overweight person. That's her right as an unhappy overweight person.
Ryan is not
I'm only slightly overweight and